Hi, I'm Ed Orcutt, State Representative from District 18, and I live in the community of Kalama. I've been in the legislature for almost 10 years now, serving the entire time on the Tax Policy Committee, which used to be called Finance. Since 2005, I've been a lead in the legislature regarding tax policy issues. You know, there's a lot of people that have a negative view of the legislature, and they think that the legislature is all partisan. And what I've tried to do is to help people understand that while we have Democrat versus Republican battles, there are so many bills that go through in a bipartisan manner. In fact, almost all of the bills that I ever introduce, I try to get someone from the other party to co-sponsor with me. People tend to look more at the idea, more at the solution, than they do whose name's at the top of the bill. Being a consulting forester is my primary profession, I have concerns about what kind of regulations are coming down, not only that affect timberland owners, but that affect all employers in our state, whether it be in the timber industry, whether it be in agriculture, whether it be in professional services, our school districts, a whole host of different entities are getting hit hard by regulations. If we're helping someone but hurting someone else, then I really question whether that policy is a good policy. And that's when I really sit down and try to work with folks and say, you know, is there a way that we can make things better for you without making them worse for someone else? I understand the struggles that employers have when you're waiting for checks to come in, but you've got bills that need to be paid, how much of a struggle that can be. So let's get those roadblocks out of the way. Let's give our employers an opportunity to hire people back, to stimulate the economy, to get this economy rolling. And then the issue of budgets should never be a problem again. We are one of the most trade-dependent states in the nation. Obviously, it's important to have a diverse economic base. The housing market is not doing well right now, and with timber being such a huge portion of the state economy, it's good to have things like aerospace and software, which are recovering faster, to have agriculture where exports are doing well right now, which means agriculture is doing better. And that kind of helps balance against the drop in revenue that we're getting from the timber sector of our economy. One of the biggest barriers right now to private sector job creation very clearly is the onslaught of regulations. In the first half of 2010, there were over 1,600 new regulations passed by our state agencies. We have over 100 people that are dedicated full-time employees dedicated to writing rules. And rules generally do little more than make it more difficult for those people in our economy to succeed. In fact, we found that there are over 43 full-time equivalent employees in the Department of Ecology alone whose sole purpose is to write rules. I'm hearing from school districts, I'm hearing from cities, I'm hearing from counties, I'm hearing from private employers that those new rules are adding costs to them, and any added cost is less money that these folks have to employ someone. If we're writing more rules in the state of Washington than they are in other states, which they are, then we need to take a look at our Department of Ecology. We need to look at all of our agencies and see what kind of rules they're writing. And maybe it's time to just take a break from writing rules for a while and give our employers a chance to adjust to the rules they already have. Give them a chance to expand the number of people they have employed. And let them focus there. Let them focus on expanding their business and improving our economy. That should be our primary focus. One of the big issues in the 2010 and 2011 session seemed to be about cost recovery. 2012 needs to be about cost control. We need our state agencies to control their costs, and then we can get some efficiencies there, and we won't have to make some of the bigger cuts that some people are talking about. Let's make a lot of little cuts in state government and not put all the cuts out to the frontline service providers or to those who need services. But let's make the cuts in the administration. You know, as you can see behind me is the Columbia River, which it's more than just a district boundary for me, it's also a state boundary. And if you look beyond the Columbia River, what you'll see is Oregon. And when I look at different policies in our state, I have to consider what the impact on employment in our state is going to be, knowing what the difference is between what that policy would be in Washington and what it is in Oregon. I just had a chance to talk to somebody who owns a number of Minute Marts, and the increase in the cigarette tax just drove more and more of his customers over to a smoke shop in Oregon. And that's the type of thing that I have to look at, is what is the negative impact going to be on our employers if we make our prices high enough that it makes it easier and actually gives incentive for people in this state to travel to Oregon to buy. There's a large quantity of agricultural products, forest products, whether it be saw logs or finished lumber. They go across these port docks. A number of products that come back in from overseas. Products that the people in this state are demanding. We are very trade dependent, and that we need to consider that in all policies that we pass, is what will this do to trade? If we pass higher taxes, does that make us less competitive? If we don't have the infrastructure we need, does that make us less competitive? We need to strengthen our competitive edge to make sure that we have that grain coming through our ports, putting our dock workers to work and keeping them employed. Goal number one in the 2012 session has clearly got to be to get Washington working again. Those workers want to go to work. They need to go to work, and they deserve to go to work. And it's our duty as legislators to make sure there's an employer climate in this state which will allow them to go back to work. We need to get Washington working again.